On this?
Sorry?
There be a roll call on this agenda? A roll call?
A roll call on the agenda?
Look as an item, like roll call for our group.
We can, I mean,
I don't know if we need an
Nobody's
item.
it's
remote.
right, it's what we've done
You were here, Marion,
all
right
along.
here.
That's fine.
You were here on the 28th, no, you were there.
Oh, okay, all right.
But
Let's see, so, August 28th, we can postpone these if you want. Peter Ames was here, Jason Brennan, Marion Colby, Laura Gandia, Peter Plansky,
I read all the
Jeremy,
minutes, but
and myself.
I didn't write anything down, I guess.
So do you want to postpone those till next meeting, so everyone
No,
has a
I
chance?
just, I read all the minutes he sent, I just had several
Okay,
minutes I read, so I
All right.
wanted to, I didn't make any notes, so I guess it was good.
Okay.
all right, okay, I'll entertain a motion if anybody would like.
I'll
to.
make a motion to approve the Economic Development Committee's August 28th, 2024 minutes.
All right, one from Jeremy, any?
I'll
do I have a
second.
Second from Peter, thank you. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 No? Abstain? Oh, all right, so how many are voters there? 1, 2,
Seven.
3, 4, 5? 5, 6, right? 1, 2. All right, so it's 6-0-0 then? Okay. All right, next. All right, get back to my agenda here. Focus group review. All right, so we had a focus group on September 12th, 2024, 6 weeks ago. I see 4 of the 5 members here that attended. Thank you for coming back. That was not taped, right?
Right,
We were just
right.
here. So I kept the minutes, my notes here. I developed this out of those minutes. So we didn't post them to the portal because I wasn't sure. I have your names mentioned here, but if you want, we can say participant 1, participant 2, participant 3. It's up to you, you tell us at the end. That's why I didn't publish it up there, all right? We are being taped tonight, though. I don't know about that. So, but again, this will be public record that gets posted later. All right. So we handed it out to everybody, so we can have a chance to go over it. I guess, do we want to, I can read it out loud, or do you want, I don't know if I want to do that because of people's names, but that might be Jay here. Why don't you take a couple minutes to read it, and if you see anything, oh, yay, hi, Jay.
You walked here, wow, that was
You
awesome.
walked here, huh? Got here.
Oh, no, I had to completely bail.
to go up Route 3?
Yeah, I was stuck on Canal Street.
Right.
It took me, I made it 2 blocks in about 15 minutes, and then I had a little break, and so I just I'm gone.
It's happened
Everyone,
Oh, no,
Hi,
we had
that's
just
okay, we're
started,
happy
so.
to see you.
3 mornings now.
Oh, yeah, really?
Really? Okay.
3 mornings I've had to.
I'm going a little out of order, but you mentioned roll call. I don't think we need a roll call, but we should maybe go around and introduce ourselves again, just, you're on.
Chairman Carson at RPC.
Diane Blansky, representative for the Conservation Commission.
Peter Plansky, School Board Rep.
Jeremy Robitaille, Planning Board Secretary.
Kimberly Queenan, Selectmen's Rep.
Mary Colby, from the Heritage Commission.
Laura Gandia, zoning board rep.
Kim Kleiner, town administrator.
Peter Ames, Recreation Commission.
Great. All right, so I don't know, I guess, I don't,
Do we want these people to say hi?
again, if they want anonymity, I don't know.
Only if they want to speak. They don't have to do it
You
now.
want to do it like that? We can do it that way. All right, do you want to just take a minute to read it?
Yeah,
Why don't you do that? We'll have silence on that. And then we'll make some changes, any typos or anything. In advance, my letter C on the keyboard doesn't work. The cat peeled it off, so just look for letter C. It might be a,
I see some Cs in here. Let's see.
oh, I spelled Sawyer wrong here. I'll fix that.
Okay.
Oh, Jay needs one, right?
I gave him one.
Okay, thanks.
It's on his elbow.
So James Sayer, I will fix, I spelled Sawyer, I will change your name, James, to the correct. Diane. It's bread and breakfast? Bed and breakfast, okay. I fixed Diane and I fixed James Sayers.
And is it a
It's bread and
special
breakfast?
acceptance or a special
Bed.
exemption?
Bed and breakfast.
Yeah, I said bread and breakfast.
On 5, Kim?
Let me fix bread and breakfast to bed and breakfast.
Maybe you were thinking of
Were you hungry?
hungry, yeah.
She wants a bakery and breakfast,
Yeah,
never
really?
mind staying
Alright, so, and
overnight.
I fixed your name, so yeah.
And then
Sorry,
the
Diane.
last sentence, discussions were had about doing this in an old house. This may require a special acceptance.
Right.
But is it an exemption or
Exception.
an acceptance?
Under this one right here.
Exception.
Exception.
Oh, above the yellow
Yes.
line where we kinda had a pause and then we went back.
Yeah.
Special
Acceptance to
acceptance.
exception.
A special exception,
Exemption.
okay, you're right.
Exception.
Exception, not
Exception.
acceptance, yeah.
Yeah, exception.
Thank you very much. Exception.
I think we're good, Kim.
Are you still reading? I think Laura's still going.
The only, I saw on, the last page.
Yep.
Number 4,
Number 4.
the, third, like, sentence, allow people's business to grow in their homes, so we got 2 thens.
Oh, thens, okay.
Then, when, should be not they, their businesses get bigger.
Thank you. It is a good fix.
The other thing was on page 3.
Okay.
So, under 3 of the coffee shops, it says, but a variance from zoning would be needed. So say may be needed. right?
Let me do one thing, so I do have number 4, I just fixed that one. No, you're good, fixed. And then on page 3, coffee shops,
It says,
said May, you want May?
that a variance from zoning
Yeah,
may be
scratch
needed.
wood.
Not wood, I don't know where.
Okay. Let me just find it, up top, okay. May be needed. May be needed, great, thanks.
And then, 4, I think we have an A in front of bakeries, we can just get rid of that. The pictures were shown of bakeries.
Let me find that, where was that? What page is that on?
Number 3,
Pictures were shown.
number 4.
Number 4, go up,
So the last paragraph in 4.
yeah.
Pictures were shown of bakeries, not
Yeah.
of a bakeries.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yep. I should remove A, because there were 2, there was one shown in a house and one that was Panera, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we just remove the word A. Okay. Nothing? Really? He's always detailed. Huh? All set here? Did anybody see anything wrong there? I fixed your name, James Sayer, on your type. I fixed that. Did I get you correctly? Yeah, because you have a few quotes in there as well. All right. And then Eric had a lot as well. See who's all set. Are you all set? Does it look okay? Do you want to make any changes?
No, it's fine.
Okay. All right, so I guess I've changed them. I kept the original version. I changed it. It's updated now. So now everybody could read. Did I? Hopefully I didn't leave anything out. Because I didn't see anything wrong. Okay. All right, let me save this. Jay, anything for you? Because you did the presentation.
No, I think it looks good.
Okay. All right, let's go back to the agenda then. So, we all know what we said, so next steps, right? So we do have to generate reports for the Board of Selectmen at some point, but I don't think we're there yet, we still have to. So we wrapped up around 8 o'clock, actually around 8:30, right? So we had our introductions, why we were here, right? We went over the survey, and then the presentations went on, right? So about 8:30, we started to take a little break. We kind of wandered over to where the maps were here, and I think people were, we knew we had a bigger task ahead of us, right? Now we were gonna start looking at solutions and stuff, but it was getting late, you were here, you remember, right? So I think they were a little tired. So we all agreed to come back, which is why we're here today. So, do we want to start going into, continuing of the focus group? Do we have maps? Do we want to do that at this point? You're here for that. Or do you want to have another discussion before we do any of that? Or do you have any thoughts now that you've had the experience that you want to share or anything like that? I asked a lot of questions here, but any feedback, or we can go right into the focus group and map and start looking at options? Yeah? Yeah? So when I was typing it up, I could see that there were suggestions being made, and there were solutions with some of the suggestions too, right? So that's some things we can leverage here, right, as well. So do you have a presentation for us today, or we want to just take it and go bring our maps in or start having
Yeah,
discussions?
I wasn't
or-
planning on a presentation. We certainly have the one from last time if
Yep.
that's of value for anyone.
All right. So we're,
One of the things I would just kind of wonder is, everybody had a chance to participate last time, and, I just kind of wonder if anybody, folks here, maybe have some thoughts that, they either didn't get to express last time, or maybe just kind of since the last session, are there things that, you kind of would
Oh, I was gonna say.
like to express that, you didn't previously? I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I thought it would make
Absolutely.
sense to throw that out as just kind of an open question. I often find that as I'm driving home, right?
Yeah, oh, I should have said that.
Well, I'll throw out a few things.
Sure.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about was an event center. This is probably a pipe dream, but, you know, you got Wilson's building sitting down there. To me, that seemed like a very nice place for an event center. No idea, you know, what the status of that building is, but you have the parking down there, you have the view down there. People are used to the traffic down there, well, they used to be, when it was open, but, that seemed like a nice place for an event center.
Were you thinking that it was something the town could lease or buy?
I don't know. I don't know what the options would be. Would they even be interested in selling it?
I don't believe that that property can be sold. It's in a land trust.
But
Okay.
when you say event center, are you thinking of something like maybe the Bedford Village Inn, where there's you know, place where people can have functions, conferences, business meetings, weddings, that kind of thing?
But remember too, we just had, it showed up on Facebook, one of the photographers in town just stepped off the side of the road to take some pictures there. They went down and told her to get off the property. So they really don't want anyone who doesn't work there on the property.
Okay.
But they might have an interest in using that for something,
Yeah.
some sort of
Right,
commercial
generate some
purpose.
revenue.
I think they have no intent.
I mean, for some sort of commercial purpose. That was maybe, I mean,
What do you
maybe
think
not.
you're using it for, Stephen?
Oh, I think that they do their packing and so forth.
Yeah,
in those
storage.
facilities. Yeah,
Yeah, I
to
agree,
ship.
yeah.
It's just an idea. I didn't know what.
It's a
would be
great
like.
idea.
Spot, though.
Right.
Yeah,
And if not Wilson's, maybe somewhere else,
Sure.
another property.
Yeah.
right. Because then you could, if you started out with that event center, then maybe you go with the hotel, just like Bedford
Yep.
Village Inn. You know, they kept adding on. The other thing was, you know, would even the owner of Bedford Village Inn be interested in investing in another place? I mean, Bedford Village Inn always seems to be busy. You never get in there, you need reservations, everything else way ahead of time. Would he be interested, or they be interested in, you know, financing or investing in an event center on this side of the river, you know?
It seems kind of close to have a second event center.
Yeah, I thought about that too. But if
It's a
the,
different venue though, it's a different audience.
Different feel, for sure.
Yeah, it's a different audience.
Better
than that.
views,
Yeah.
much quieter. So, yeah, wouldn't have the foot traffic, but, or the general car traffic, but it'd be a great little, small, quiet place out of the way.
Likely they would wanna probably buy land and develop their own. And we do have that one piece that was, state land. Do we know what's happening with that piece of land at the end of 102?
We're still in discussion with the state. We'll report back to, the lawyer is putting something together to report back to the board. I wouldn't count on development of state land, if that helps.
Yep, that does help.
Just before we go on, I'll open it up to non-public, to public. If that's not on the agenda, does anybody hear from the public here for another reason that's on
Or
the
people.
agenda? Okay, I just have to formality. All right, hearing none, I will close it at 6:52.
I do need to strike everything that we previously
No,
said.
no, I went into, yeah, really. It's been a long day. All right, back to our discussion then. So, yeah, I like Jay. Any other thoughts that people had, or?
you know, we talked about the industrial warehouse, we talked about office buildings. It seems like, I don't know, the place that would go is, you know, where the tech park is down that area, Optimum is down there. That seems to be like a business area that maybe people would not, I don't even know if there's land down there, but, seems like people would be accepting of those things.
On Colby Road.
No, like across the street from it too? Well, I don't know if there's anything.
Where
on
there's
the road.
that one business that went in down by the pond.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's any land for sale there, though.
What about the one that Barron's wanted
Mary
to go?
Helen's land doesn't come down and wrap into that.
That's Helen's behind.
I think the part down, I'm not sure exactly how big her piece is, but I think hers is a little further north from there. I think what was down there, they sold to Mills.
Where I always get stuck here at our purpose is that we can have all the wonderful ideas that we want to have, but we don't have an idea of a vehicle to communicate with businesses that we want to bring in.
Yeah.
Right, and that's
we
his
don't
sug-
have-
I can kind of, camera feed. So there's a firm, that does this, for communities. Once you come up with ideas, on what type of businesses you want, they actually have research that they have collected, that is it's specific to your community, but it also looks at the communities around you, and it will give you data on whether that type of business would first of all do well here, because you've got to make a pitch to these businesses that their business would be viable here. So they do that type of research. They are more than willing to come in and give a presentation to the committee when we get a little bit further and we know what types of businesses, because they need to know that. They need to be able to actually pinpoint the different parcels of land that we're looking at and what types of businesses we're looking at. And then, they will actually pinpoint,
So they like
customers that may be
like a business
interested and who you
headhunter?
should focus on and how you focus pitching it to them.
So they don't pitch it, but they focus, pinpoint to us what we should be, what kind of
Do you think
businesses
that
we
would-
should be going after and so forth.
So do you
Yeah,
think that would be worth that to do that now?
It's commonly used in many different
And
communities.
is that something that is as expensive service to provide, or? No,
Not, it all depends on your community. Not for a community of this size.
okay,
It could be
So it's
very
something that's-
expensive for New York City or a.
but it's like a reasonable idea for our town,
Yes,
and so it wouldn't be out of the budget completely.
right.
Okay.
So they commonly deal with municipalities, and they work
Townships.
with like NHMA, ICMA, municipal organizations, and so they contacted me, sent me a few different slides, and I said, I think we should wait for the committee.
Okay.
But
Are
it
they
sounds like the
local?
step.
No, they are not, they're national, I mean,
Okay.
they have different offices that deal
Okay,
with
but it's a
different
broad
areas of
spec-
the country, but they're national, I mean, they do this
Okay.
all over the country.
Michael Bergeron, who lives in the town and works for the state of New Hampshire, that's his position in the state,
BEA, maybe, Business of Economic,
bringing businesses into the state.
But he's local?
Well, let's
yeah,
invite him.
this group works with with the BEA, the Bureau of Economic Development.
So he's a resident of this town.
Yes.
I didn't know if Kim knew that.
We have a 10 a.m. every other Monday, is that when the
Yes.
calls are? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
he usually doesn't participate in those calls, but
Okay.
it's with his office.
Bergeron's office.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, that's a longtime Litchfield family.
Yes, Roland.
Roland,
Yeah, yeah.
for many, many years.
Yep.
So I think we I feel like that we kind of covered all the kind of businesses. Jay had an excellent presentation that talked about that. And didn't we kind of talk about those businesses afterwards and say which ones already that we thought would do well here?
Right, ones that we thought might be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think we've
we had
kind
a
of,
good conversation around that.
yeah, I do too.
I didn't write any of that down. unless I was.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
We
you
were talking
did.
about the
We got it.
feathering.
Coffee
When
shops,
he was doing his presentation, remember we were saying
Yeah, they're right
why
here, Tim.
particular businesses would not succeed.
Yes, that's in here, but I thought you meant after the presentation, we had another discussion.
No.
We had it during the discussion.
Yes,
Poor
okay,
Jay
so I have
interrupted
the pros and the cons in
constantly.
here, right?
Right,
Why it
yeah.
would
It's a
work
good
that
thing.
way, yes.
Yeah, no, a
Yeah,
lot of discussion.
I felt that too. I thought, I also think, which is kind of what we're talking about today, there was a sense that there are some things that would serve local residents, for sure, and that's kind of likely to have some success. But then we also talked a lot about destination types of businesses, that if we really wanted to attract them, that's what they would have to be, because there just isn't the population here and the traffic here to support them from just residents.
You used Pickety Place as a,
Right,
reference
and
for that.
we talked about that, the
Yeah.
Bedford Village Inn,
Yeah.
different ones, even the Common Man in Merrimack, those types of places that draw people. The winery examples that we talked about also, LaBelle, those are event centers,
destinations,
those
because I'd
are
never go down
destination,
101 without
right.
that. So maybe put that together, that we've,
They did mention, feeding off the airport, so back to your point, with a bed and breakfast, you get people that are flying into Manchester that may not wanna stay in the city, or in a urban area, and might be interested in coming and staying at more of a bed and breakfast type of area. Because that's one of the assets that they mentioned a few times was, what is your capability and, to the airport.
Do you know if anybody in town does Airbnb? I mean, is there any way that the town would know that? There are?
probably, well, you know what? Somebody do an Airbnb.
Go on
Litchfield.
Airbnb and you could, yeah.
Yeah, if you go on Airbnb or, VRBO, we'll find out,
no, there are.
probably.
But there's no,
Yeah, I'm sure
that
there are.
isn't regulated in any way that the town would
It's
know
not
about.
regulated through the town, no.
Good. I have a big house.
I don't think we wanna start regulating that.
So at the end though, with Aaron, who's not here, was talking about feathering, right? We have this northern part of town, southern part of town, and that's how it's lined up with the industrial down there and the
Right.
commercial. And to feather in at little layers, some of the stuff we were talking about here.
Right, the smaller businesses, the
that idea.
home-based businesses, et cetera.
All right,
I'm getting places in Nashua, Manchester, 8
You
miles
took
from
that
Litchfield, 6 miles from Litchfield.
Talking about Airbnb.
No, Verbo.
And even destination places like Pickety Place, I mean, that just started as a little restaurant that someone opened.
Yeah.
It happened to be terrific, it became a destination.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So I'm not coming up with anything at Airbnb here either, which means that a bed and breakfast would be even more received, because there's no actual homes here that are doing Airbnb or VRBO.
But, and that's where some work might have to be done, though, as far as the town's climate for allowing businesses of that nature to,
Well, I thought the
Exist.
intent of the Burgess
It really would take somebody with a big old house.
Big old
property
house.
on Korea. I thought their intent was
Someone with
to
a
have
big old house.
B&B.
I don't know, they haven't, they didn't mention, I didn't discuss that with them, but I
I
don't,
thought that's why they did all that rehabilitation work on the house.
Dave and Misty?
I found it in
No?
Airbnb.
David mentioned that.
David
did?
Mitchie? No, David and Misty are staying, I guess.
Oh, we have them, I found a
They're not gonna do
townhouse.
a
She,
B&B.
she found an
I don't think
Airbnb in Litchfield on
What
here.
dates did you put in?
You did what? I couldn't find one.
Peaceful Woods, Area Suite, entire townhouse in Litchfield, New Hampshire. 4 guests, 2 bedrooms, 3 baths.
How much are they charging?
$190 a night.
Nice.
not bad.
I remember seeing other ones too.
I didn't come up
I
with
just
it.
plugged in the 31st to the 1st.
Yeah,
Maybe
there's
it's
probably plenty of
consensually
onesie
still
twosies,
supposed
but
to go for housing.
I think the bed and breakfast would be a great
As in
spot to
what
fit
was
our
it?
town and
Yeah,
could capitalize off the airport as a great base of business.
That would be the source of your business, because there isn't a lot else here.
to draw
attract
tourists
people
in,
to
yeah.
B&B. Right.
But if we had a couple of breweries,
Yeah, breweries, wineries,
little
you have
breakfast
Mel's,
place.
an event
little
center would be
breakfast
nice.
place, yeah,
Host weddings, have rooms there, so,
Or-
you
yeah.
know,
That seems like that would work, and it would really fit in with the culture of the town.
especially if we keep the design very, very
Two
old school New
breweries.
England, it'd be very, very nice.
Two breweries, what are you saying about this?
Well, maybe not two, maybe three in winery.
And a distillery while we're at it.
The town could support all of those businesses.
It could. You know,
I've
they say about
I've
small
had company
towns.
come over, and there's not enough room when there's a family reunion, and sometimes the two hotels over near the airport are full.
Yeah.
So this is, especially graduation times and things like that, so I think it would be
There
supported
would
for sure.
probably be some business.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes, it would.
So it would appeal to these people that
Have big
we would bring
homes.
in next. So I guess what we
Then you
need to
can
do
look at
is
rest-
the
then you can look at
proposal.
Zoning
restaurant,
ordinances, right?
brewery
Yeah.
type, you know,
But if somebody wanted to open a bed and breakfast and they lived in a residential area, then they're gonna have to go through
Right.
a lot of hoops to get a business open. So they're gonna make it, so we wanna encourage businesses, but on the other hand, that's what I'm saying, how friendly is the town to businesses opening? And how flexible are they going to be if you're trying to bring a business in?
Well, realistically, I think if you're looking at that kind of use, it's probably not something, I shouldn't say it wouldn't happen, but there's not a lot of opportunity in the existing commercial zones.
No, that's what I'm saying, if somebody lived in a residential zone but wanted to open up a bed and breakfast,
It's not permitted.
well, that's what I'm saying,
That
so,
could be a
so the
zoning change.
So I'm saying if the town is trying to look at economic development, maybe they need to look at having a friendlier atmosphere toward, allowing,
The southern commercial district might, Jay, have some opportunities. There's some nice old houses there that could be great bed and breakfast. I don't know if any of the people who live there would have any interest in that sort of thing.
Possibly.
Not much in the northern commercial zone, all the old places have been taken down. and Something new would have to be built to accommodate that.
So if you wanted to do this feathering in, you'd probably wanna look at some sort of conditional use or special exception. Probably along 3A.
Yeah, I
in
only know,
residential district.
I only know one really huge house on 3A. Huge.
Yeah.
You wanna turn that into?
well, it could be a bed and
Well,
Could be a
breakfast.
bed and breakfast with a bar.
Right.
Happen to know the lady that owns the house is quite
A tea
popular.
shop.
Got
And
it.
an antique store.
But that could be looked at through zoning or variances, right? But
Well,
that's,
I mean,
is there a
you can't rely
state,
on variances.
is there a state
You'd
law with
really-
those?
You'd really have to, if you wanted it, you'd wanna come up with
Yeah.
zoning
Business
that
plans.
allowed it.
Yep.
Under certain conditions. And there's other things people were interested in too. I mean, things, like a bakery or a coffee shop or those kinds of things. Do we want to, right, do we
Little
want to
things.
also allow those
She wants some tea again.
integrate in?
Yeah.
Right.
And that can often work well, especially if you have a bed and breakfast. It can be nice to be able to open it up to other people to come in, supplement your business somewhat.
Right. Lots of liability too, you're not be totally responding on everything come to you, right? The baker will take that part of the business, you'll just serve all the food. Brewery take care of some dinners and drinks.
Yeah.
So that one owner would not be having all the risk all by themselves.
Would a bed and breakfast fall under state rules of food inspections and so forth?
That's what I was.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, if it's serving food, and you'd want it to.
Yeah. The breakfast
Oh, yeah.
part would
Yeah,
fall
yeah.
into that one,
Although it comes down to what you serve.
yeah.
Right, like you wouldn't have to have a commercial kitchen necessarily unless you were cooking.
Right, it's prepared
You know all
food.
this, so
Yes,
what
I
am I
do.
saying? You know these
Here's your bag,
rules.
here's your bag. Some donuts and some,
Well, I think that the stuff that we looked at, Jay, as far as being receptive to what the town wanted, he used the survey that we created when he came up with this. So those were the kind of businesses that we
Right.
knew the town wanted.
Yeah, things for the townspeople, really.
They wanted things that were not too big.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of things that were going to make the town a whole lot of money, which is kind of another economic development reason.
is to,
But the infrastructure problem is another reason, that things that.
Why
make
that
it
won't work.
aren't gonna be-
Yes, right.
It won't work, right?
That is also a key point in that, needless to say, any changes in zoning have to go to the voters. There has to be things that people would support.
Exactly.
So I felt like we landed in a space where we had that tension of, do we want something that helps the tax base or quality of life or both? And it's really, this is gonna be more about the quality of life, right?
Yep.
That there's really not the appetite for something that it would take to do significant impact to the taxes in town.
or the ability with the roads that
Right,
we
well,
have,
and with the-
state roads and.
Well, with not having a sewer system,
Great.
but, you know, for a big business that would really impact taxes, you'd need more of that sort of stuff. And then it would be a bigger drain on the services in town.
I mean, we've
So-
attempted to bring in Barron's, we attempted to bring in this gas station, and it's not us that's prohibiting those things from coming in, it's state regulations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And those are two things that would absolutely help our taxes,
yeah.
so we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Maybe the state knows better than we do.
Well, no, so a lot of this stuff is driveway permit wise, having issues with this stuff, but a bed and breakfast doesn't have to have dueling driveways.
Yeah.
One driveway could be sufficient for a bed and breakfast.
But they're not gonna be the impact financially that a Barron's would.
No,
or
obviously, but the thing is, there's no silver bullet for our issues we have in town here. But taking small steps forward is what we have to do here.
Is there a
So,
way to approach the state with how difficult they're making our commercial areas? Anybody?
As far as the curb.
Like curb cuts,
or-
yeah.
Well, curb cuts, but I don't think that's the current, that's not what held up Barron's. Barron's got held up by environmental issue. And the gas station worked around the curb cuts, but now they've got another problem. Is that correct?
I'm not sure
Planning
what's
board?
holding that up.
What's,
I thought it was
what's,
still
They were waiting for their permit, did they get it?
Yeah.
It was,
I
the
didn't
DOT,
know about
I don't know.
during COVID, a lot of people retired, and so it's just very slow, it can take a year. I know this gentleman's been waiting a long time.
he really has,
But
Renee,
there's
he's been
phases
waiting
of the
very long time.
DOT permit. So last I knew, he was waiting for his permit, but I haven't been on the planning board to know if he really got it, or if
Yeah.
he's even come in front.
Yeah, we
yeah,
haven't heard.
really.
Right. So if we can make a list and try to bring it to the state,
I thought I heard
It's-
something
it's-
about a
it's-
statute that put a maximum number of days that they had to issue the permit within.
It was 60
Days.
days.
I think it was 60 days, right?
Can we help him? I mean, that's, no.
There's no way they'll push them in 60 days.
And even when you have statutes that say 60 days,
Can't.
They're the state and they made the statute so they can override.
there's a lot of statutes in New Hampshire that give deadlines, and whether or not they're adhered to is a different story.
well, Eric also brought up something about, businesses in the home, right? You had a different strategy, right, of
Yeah. It seems like they're not, like the town isn't particularly friendly to them as far as zoning goes. As I read it, there's a rule against having a sign for any advertising anywhere that you have a business at that location, which pretty much bans most at-home businesses unless you're landlord.
we had one accountant who came in with a very small sign, right? We let him
Oh,
put it,
she had, at the end of Albuquerque, right across,
yeah.
Jacobson, she has a sign, it's still there. And it's not a little sign, it's a big sign, but it's on 3A.
But
She's in
That's her,
commercial.
yeah, she's commercial.
Yeah,
and
she's
it's-
in the
The whole
commercial.
building is
Yeah.
her company.
I don't know if that's the kind of thing that's universally enforced, but who's gonna invest in starting a business that can be shut down at any moment because somebody complains about your sign? You know,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna.
But we had an accountant, I remember, that I go by his house, lives in the house, and the attachment has a,
Side road.
yeah, very, but small sign, it wasn't, glaring to everybody. But that could be,
You have to get rid of things like that if you want somebody to even consider it. It has to be, especially if you want people to start small businesses from home, that's generally things people are gonna start on the side with not a lot of resources. You can't have there be a big barrier. Fight in ordinance or,
But isn't that what you're envisioning with your mixed-use property?
that would be yes,
Home
that,
business
a
and
home
residence.
and a business, but in our case so far, they seem to be different buildings, right?
But they're gonna
Home
be
and then
in
the business.
commercial
They're gonna be in a
Commercial zone.
commercial zone.
Yeah, they're in a,
Right.
yeah.
Separate buildings?
No, they'll have to be in a commercial zone.
They're in a commercial zone right now.
Did you read the ordinance? We have a whole list of, small business in the home, right? There's a whole section on that in the zoning.
Yes, we do.
I don't know if we can call that up, cause it gives a list, but,
What ones that are allowed, you mean?
yeah, and, but we can at least see if it's very tight or loose, you know, Krista. Did you have a chance to look at zoning ordinances, or maybe not?
I don't remember.
Okay,
I
so
looked at the
we'll
one
just
that was
maybe bring it
voted
up
on
here.
during the last go around.
Cause we went through all the,
Had some of that language about signage and whatnot,
Yeah.
and, you know, that's,
So,
to me, that seems like a non-starter for a lot of home business.
because you can't, so if you don't have a sign, then other people in town aren't gonna know
There's anything
Yeah.
that
going
there's
on.
anything going on there.
Yeah, if you wanna be a destination business.
Right,
and
so
you
the
want
si-
people to
right.
come, say I decided to turn, you know, part of my house into a little coffee shop or something.
Yeah.
You could do that. It would be possible, but if I can't put a sign there, who's gonna find it? People aren't gonna come up to a random unmarked house.
Do you have coffee?
Is this the right place? You know, we gotta have something, you need to be able to market it somewhere.
Mhm.
And in my view, we should be open to that, you know, I think the standard should be that you're allowed to do it as long as, you know, nobody has a valid objection, you know? And maybe in some circumstances, there's, you know, a reason you shouldn't do that in a particular neighborhood, but, it seems like right now the default is that you can't really consider that.
It seems like it might depend on the amount of business you're doing too in a residential area in terms of your neighbors and so forth.
Yeah, if you're blocking the whole road, you know,
We're calling
every
it
day
up.
or something, that.
is he getting it?
that could be a
Traffic.
problem.
Are you checking it?
Yeah, you're
I'm
creating
not,
traffic.
I could run to my
So,
car and get it, but I'm not, for some reason,
are you
I'm not
looking for,
able to
Kim?
do anything.
The zoning ordinances for, in-home businesses.
I have it here.
Oh, I
but-
didn't know if we could put it up there so
But
everybody
that
could
is
see
true,
it.
if you're in a residential area, you can't have a sign.
Well,
Well, we did
Well,
have an
our
accountant
zoning
do
isn't
that.
clear.
It's just not being applied equally, I
well,
think.
no.
Just-
The building inspector, the code enforcement officer, both the past and the present, have,
said no signs.
No, there is a sign on this person's home, and I remember him, this
But
person
some
getting it.
people put up signs, there's a sign.
It's on the home, it's
there's
not a
for
sign in the yard.
But there's a sign for a flower shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I know her neighbors complained because it was creating traffic
On Pine
down
Crest
the
Road.
road.
Mm-hmm.
Off Pine Crest Road.
Yeah,
Liability,
Yep.
yeah.
I have answers.
Okay, let Laura
If they
talk.
wanted to see them, you know, yeah.
I'll let Laura talk.
Answers.
So, the town has different types of home occupations. Home occupation as a matter of right, which is odd, says no signs. But then you have home occupations requiring planning board approval that says all home occupation signs must comply with the requirements of section 1503.02 residential home occupation signs. So, with that, I mean, I didn't look at what 150302 is.
I think it's taking you back to the sign
Se-
ordinance.
Right. So, that's saying that you can, but that requires planning board approval, and the reason why, there's pushback with that, when people are living in their home, they want that residential feel. If you didn't want that residential feel, you could move into like a mixed-use community, but when you're at home, I think that why the town has is when you're at home, you wanna be at home. You don't wanna feel like you're living, you know, in the midst of businesses, you want quiet time, you want, you know, and again, I know your neighbors may not give you the quiet time, but that's the whole intent of the home occupation, is to provide people with that residential feel. Because then if you allow businesses, then you have no zoning. You have different uses, you have your residential use mixed with your commercial use, and then it becomes a hodgepodge of everything, and then you have traffic concerns, road concerns, noise concerns. So there is valid reasons to limiting home occupations and to trying to have control on that. But we do, according to this, allow it, but with planning board approval.
Does
you
it
can
say
have
what
signs.
home occupations are allowed? Is there a list?
They don't give you a list per
We have
se.
a list.
I thought it was
We did
like
have a
one
list.
person, no employees.
No, you can have up to
No.
2 non-family employees are permitted on the premises,
Right.
and this is the ones that are requiring planning board approval. With this one, you can have a sign, as long as it complies with section 1503. Again, you can't store stuff outside, and again, like if you're if somebody said, well, I wanna have a home occupation, that's a landscaping company, for example. If I'm living next to a landscaping place, I don't want a landscaping company next to me, I don't want big tractor trailers parked in my yard, I don't wanna see piles of loam. I'm at home, so that's why they have no exterior storage, so you can't do that. Business-related vehicles cannot exceed a gross vehicle, and then you have to have sufficient off-street parking. So we do give that flexibility to have signs, if you wanted to go to the planning board. You can have up to 2 non-family employees permitted on the premises
So you have to go to a board and ask permission to
for,
mark your business as a business?
The planning board has done that in the past.
If you meet these requirements, yes.
And they're usually a discrete sign, you know, because usually, you know, enter in this door here, you know, kind of thing. But they usually allow a nice sign there on your home.
The space that, Smoking Spants went in.
Yep.
That's commercial,
That's commercial, yeah.
right?
Yep.
He had to go to the planning board for a sign this big,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Who did?
Smoking
Spanks.
Barbecue, the barbecue trailer.
And that's
yeah.
commercial. I
That's
mean,
what-
Yeah.
I
Wait a minute,
would
Eric's got a
consider
question.
sign
So, yeah.
standard to a commercial
got a
business.
Yeah, so he's on Continental's property
Okay.
there.
And
He approved it, and we said to go and approve it, that was it, so, an add-on.
But he's also somebody who can pick up and go somewhere else.
Right.
Can anybody explain to me why I would be allowed to put a political sign in my yard, but I wouldn't be allowed to put a sign for my own business in my yard?
Temporary.
That's a state law.
Temporary.
State law?
I'm telling people that my
It's a temporary sign,
business
right?
exists, part of, covered in the freedom of that I have a business.
the town is.
The town does, yeah.
So if the town doesn't have an ordinance, it goes to the state. The town has an ordinance, so you would have to abide by that.
Right, I'm just not sure why business sign wouldn't be covered under freedom of speech, but.
Did you put one up and they made you take it down? Or did you just not put one up because you
Well,
didn't think it was
I don't have one
allowed?
because people don't come to my house to buy from me, I sell things on the internet.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, as I think it's a valid point as to whether or not the rule is even constitutional, much less a good idea. It obviously restricts what we seem to want is more business activity, and given that most of our area in the town is residential, it's a fairly sizable restriction to people doing any kind of business development. You could do what I do, you can do online stuff, but that's not particularly, nothing in town particularly facilitates that either. So,
What do you mean?
well, we don't have a post office, so, there's nowhere to say, I drive to another town to send my packages.
We've got a zip code.
That's what we like.
Right.
We got a zip code finally.
It took hold, so.
So which home businesses are we friendly to?
We have the list, right? Don't we have a list of them?
Well, based on what Laura read there, it's
No, I don't think you're gonna have a list.
No,
It's just
but
a
we
home